Hello, this is ITV News Central. On the programme tonight, the air crash near pylons which claimed a micropilot's life. It's thought his daughter saw the whole thing.
Big business for Rolls-Royce and the supply chain as it receives its largest ever engine order.
We've had a run of really big orders from Singapore, Lufthansa and now JAL. It's really exciting times for us.
Cooking up a storm, the chef shortage that could kill off our authentic curry.
And a day at the Palace for the long-serving football referee.
Good evening. A microlight pilot has died after his aircraft is thought to have hit nearby pylons before crashing to the ground.
The man, who's not yet been formally identified, was pronounced dead at the scene. It's believed his daughter was watching as he crash-landed. Victoria Davis reports.
The wreckage of the microlight marks the spot where it crash-landed, killing the pilot. It was just before 6 yesterday evening when residents heard the impact near their homes in Stourton in the West Midlands.
He'd been flying around during the afternoon, and he comes very often, he very often flies around. And then all of a sudden I heard him sound as if the petrol had gone in his motor, and I thought he's in trouble. And then all of a sudden I saw two big flashes, massive flashes, 20 feet high off the field, one after the other, and then a terrific bang.
The first thing that happened was the electricity went off, and then within minutes the emergency vehicles came, 2 fire engines, 2 ambulances, a helicopter. So we really didn't know what had happened, but we knew it was a serious incident.
It's thought the 2-seater microlight aircraft crashed into pylons before landing in this farmer's field. The male pilot was the only person in the aircraft, and despite the best efforts by medics, he was pronounced dead at the scene. A farm worker here told us that the daughter of the pilot was waiting for the microlight to come into land, but instead was forced to watch as her father crash-landed in this field. Specially trained police officers are currently supporting the family. A post-mortem is due to take place. But in the meantime, air accident investigators are closely analysing the wreckage to try and find out how this could have happened. Victoria Davis, ITV News, Stourton.
A Muslim free school that closed midway through an Ofsted inspection has reopened. The Al Medina School in Derby says it's addressed the health and safety issue which forced its closure.
It follows claims that the free school had imposed strict Islamic practices, including segregated classrooms. Now teaching unions are demanding it comes clean about Ofsted's findings, as Phil Brewster reports.
A week after being closed down, it was open doors once again at the Al Medina School in Derby. Last Tuesday, the Muslim faith-free school was forced to shut just one day into an Ofsted inspection. Officially, the school says the closure was due to health and safety reasons. It's thought this was due to incomplete records of background checks on teachers and staff. But there are also other concerns about the way the school is being run. On its website, Al Medina says it has a strong Muslim ethos and that they wish their pupils to enjoy learning in a caring Islamic environment. But questions have been raised about the extent of Islamic practices in the classroom. Some former staff have claimed they were forced to wear a headscarf or hijab, whether they were Muslim or not. There are also allegations of segregation of boys and girls in the classroom. Today, parents we spoke to said they were happy for their children to continue being taught at the school.
Education-wise, it's brilliant. Just a few little tweaks here and there, maybe that's it.
I think they need to tell the people why they closed it. But generally, I think the school, when I spoke to teachers generally, all round, I think they're fantastic.
I'm very happy with the school, and our kids go to there. This is our big aim for us, for a Muslim especially.
Every school, it gets a lot of criticism when it first opens, so if you just give it a chance, I'm sure it'll succeed.
But in the community it was designed to serve, there's been fierce criticism.
Most of the institutions and the community weren't happy to endorse it, and they raised these concerns with these guys. We got stonewalled, we weren't allowed to see paperwork, we escalated these complaints to the Department of Education, and they refused to investigate.
So far, the school has declined to comment, other than to say the closure was not the result of the Ofsted inspection. The Department of Education says it's waiting for Ofsted's report and is considering all legal options. But teaching unions are amazed the school hasn't been more forthcoming.
I think if we're in the national news, and they've been in several national newspapers and all over the local media, then I would expect somebody to come out and speak. But out of decency, it's a publicly funded body, so you would expect somebody to actually come out and be held to account and say, well, this is a problem. It would also allay people's fears, wouldn't it? If we know specifically what the problem is, it leaves less to the imagination.
The NUT is due to have a meeting with the principal of Almadina about the issues surrounding the closure. It's thought Ofsted will report back to the school with the full findings of their inspection in the next 7 to 10 days. Phil Brewster, ITV News, Derby.
Firms which make parts for the Airbus are celebrating tonight after a major order for new aircraft from the Japanese. It means hundreds of millions of pounds worth of new business for Rolls-Royce, who will make the engines.
There are 400 firms in the Midlands involved in the aviation industry, and many have won orders on the new plane worth millions of pounds. As our business correspondent Mark Goff reports, the aviation sector is the unsung hero of Midlands engineering.
The Airbus A350 made its maiden flight this summer from Toulouse in France, powered by Rolls-Royce engines made in Derby. Today the firm said it was delighted that its engines will power 31 new aircraft ordered by Japan Airlines.
This order takes us to over 1,500 engines ordered, and that gives security for the programme itself. It also takes us to be in the biggest Trent programme that Rolls has ever done before.
But it's not just Rolls-Royce celebrating. This afternoon at Bromford Industries in Birmingham, they were making part of the landing gear for the Airbus A350.
It's incredibly important for us. Broadly, I've worked out it's about another £2.5 million worth of orders that Bromford's been successful with.
And we'll build it back up and test it for the customer.
Stuart Martin's firm in Wolverhampton tested the reverse thrust for the engine on the new Airbus.
It's helped us to develop a design department here. So for the A350 system, we employed several designers who are still with us now. We formed a new team specifically for that project.
When aviation firms need pieces of kit testing, they come to Nick French in Coventry. Here they test components on electronic monitoring systems and simulators.
We've seen growth, we've seen tremendous growth over the last 5 years, and as a company we've had to, we're permanently recruiting engineers all the time to reinforce the engineering base within this company.
We know the car industry is doing well with Toyota and Jaguar Land Rover, JLR, but aviation in the Midlands employs 45,000 people. It's a business worth £5 billion and it's growing.
It's maybe a hidden gem, and I think maybe we don't quite get as much recognition as JLR does, but obviously we pay an important part to jobs, job creation, young people, engineering. So yes, it is a little gem. Aerospace is growing and it will continue to grow. People want to travel from A to B. Emerging markets are becoming stronger and stronger, and consequently there's more of a demand for aircraft. Consequently, that's good for manufacturers like us.
The next plane on the horizon is likely to be a new jet from Russia, as it tries to muscle in on Boeing, and Midlands firms say they're well placed to win new business. Mark Goff, ITV News.
And there's been some good news for the Coventry-based London taxi company, which went into administration last year and was bought by a Chinese firm. It sold nearly 100 white taxi cabs in Perth in Western Australia.
The famous cabs have been painted white to cope with the sunshine as black absorbs heat. The 98 cars will undergo trials over the next few weeks, and if successful, more will be ordered.
We've been working to increase our exports of taxis all over the world for a number of years, and it's really begun to take off. In fact, the Australian order came rather earlier than we would have liked. Normally, we build our taxis both here in the UK and in China, and we tend to build all the right-hand drives in the UK and the left-hand drives in China. But when the Australian order came in, this factory wasn't in production, so the order had to be fulfilled out of our Chinese factory. In future, it may well be that the Australian vehicles are actually built in this country.
The end has finally come for cash-strapped Hinckley United Football Club. A judge at Birmingham High Court issued a winding-up order this morning.
Legal proceedings were brought by former chairman Kevin Downs, who resigned in July last year, claiming the club owed him more than £180,000 in unpaid debts. Here's Michael Sibbott.
There's been a football team in Hinckley for more than a century, but as of just after 11 o'clock this morning, that long run came to an end after a winding up petition was granted by a court in Birmingham. The dispute centres over the facilities in this stand just behind me. It's been a long, drawn-out process which has ultimately ended with Hinckley United Football Club going into liquidation.
Well, basically, it's a travesty to the town because all the years have been going and everything else, and all of a sudden there's no football club for the town.
It's all about cost, and like you say, it's a shame because they've had 2 teams in Hinckley.
It's just, it's going to be a shock not seeing a football game there again. Just can only hope that it can be resurrected and, as the phoenix came out of the flames.
Well, the stand here behind me has within it conferencing facilities, a gym and all of the home and away dressing rooms. It's owned by Kevin Downs. Now, he was the chairman here for 15 years until July last year when he resigned from his post after a vote of no confidence from the board. At that point, he's told me today, he was owed £75,000 in back payments for rent for this stand, and the club struggled to meet the £3,000 a month rent agreement. Now, it was him that petitioned the court for this winding up order, but in fact most of the assets from the club have already been transferred from Hinckley United Football Club to a new company. It remains to be seen if there will be a new football club here to play next season, but until then at least there will be no Hinckley United Football Club playing here. They'll have to withdraw from the Calagas Southern League, and there will be no football for the fans in Hinckley.
A real shame. Well, the time is coming up to 12 minutes past 6, still to come here on ITV News Central. The long-serving referee who's been honoured at Buckingham Palace.
And in the weather, the papers are going for flaming hot temperatures this October. But is that the full story? I'll have all the details, the real ones, a little bit later in the programme.
The winter vomiting bug, which affects thousands of people each year and costs the NHS £100 million a year, could be virtually wiped out by introducing copper to hospitals.
After carrying out tests at Selly Oak Hospital in Birmingham, scientists have discovered the metal kills the norovirus almost instantly and stops it spreading. Christine Alsford reports.
It's highly contagious and can claim the lives of the vulnerable. Norovirus costs the NHS an annual £100 million. But latest research has shown that ordinary copper surfaces kill it and a range of other infections almost instantly.
This is very exciting. It destroys the virus genetic material. What that means is there's no coming back. They're completely dead. They can't mutate. They can't evolve copper resistance because they've lost all their genetic material.
The findings have been welcomed by those like Serena Spencer-Jones. She's young, fit and healthy, but norovirus laid her low.
I was so poorly, it really knocks me for six. To prevent it, yes, please. I think it's a great idea. I'm really glad, especially something, it's innocuous, copper. We have it in abundance, so good.
At the moment, the things we touch in hospitals, care homes and on transport such as ferries, where there have been major outbreaks of norovirus, are usually made from metals like stainless steel. But Professor Keevil and his team at the University of Southampton found virus particles survive quite easily on that, as in the picture on the left. On copper, by contrast, the contamination was almost completely wiped out. It's a wonder metal, isn't it?
Well, you might describe it as a wonder metal. If we can get even a modest reduction in infection in hospitals, it's going to save lives, it's going to improve people's health, and it will save a lot of money.
Small-scale experiments have begun to show by just how much hospital infections can be reduced if you use copper on bed rails, door handles and taps. There are even experiments going on giving copper pens like this one to medical staff, because when they write notes and then move between patients, there's a high risk of infection. Researchers say copper and copper alloys are no substitute for good hygiene, and the infection can still be spread by person-to-person contact and through food. But copper could mean a major step forward in the ongoing fight against infection. Christine Osford, ITV News.
Well, there's an extraordinary thing.
Fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. Copper. Now, many of our curry restaurants are struggling to survive, apparently.